Okay, here we are back inside MatrixGold once again. Thanks for tuning in. If you find the videos useful and helpful in your designing process, please leave me a like, subscribe, and definitely leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you. And share the video. I'd really appreciate it. Today we're just going to make something easy, but there are some things we need to really look at when we do it. So we're going to go ahead and jump into it. We'll make a little pendant here. I'll go ahead and switch to my creation layer, and we'll start from F4. I grabbed a circle. I'm going to hold down, go to the down direction, holding shift so that my seam's on the bottom there. And we're just going to drag it out something like this here. And then I'm going to take that curve, and then we'll go scroll down to our offset or curve, and we'll offset it, and I have it set at a 3. We'll just take a 3, and then I'll select both those curves, and we'll go do a loft on this. All right, and then we'll just hit enter and give it some shading here. Now what we want to do is we want to select this surface, and we want to go to transform, and we'll just go ahead and do an auto base, and we'll select that. And we'll take that auto base and we'll rotate, oh good, 90 degrees, and we'll hit enter. And I'll just go ahead and change that to a ground plane. I have ground plane here. I updated to the 3.5, so we have new items there listed out. And we'll just drag that in a little so we can just move it closer to our object. I will go back to our curves and grab a line curve, and with my snaps on and my mid snap selected, I will go from that mid to this mid here, and then I will just go ahead and turn that ground plane off. And I'll select my curve, and we'll go to tools, and we'll just put a profile on there, and we'll snap that profile to the Z direction, and we'll change that profile. We just want a simple square profile for this example, but you could probably try a lot of different things. Let's go in here and scroll down this simple square here. I'll double click on it, and then we had it 3 millimeters, so we're going to hold down this and move it into a 3, and we'll bump that up to a 3, so we just have a square there. And we'll snap one down here on this end as well, and we'll go ahead and accept those two. We'll go to our surface 1, and we'll select this one, and this one, and hit enter. And we don't need any of those items there, so we'll just go ahead and get rid of those. And we'll accept that surface. Now what we'll do is we'll grab that surface, we'll go to transform, and we will go to twist right here, and it'll give us boxes around all edges, and if you scroll over you can see which edge you're going to be selecting. We are going to select this edge right here. I'm going to go to my angle here and click on that box there and type in 360 and then hit enter, so it twists it around like that, right? And then I'll just go ahead and accept that. All right, and we'll change that to a different layer. All right, so we have that out there. Now this is where it gets a little tricky, but not really all that bad. We'll go ahead and turn back on our ground planes because we'll need that for our auto base. Smart flow, select our auto base, and select our destination surface, and go over here and objects to flow, leave this one here, and we'll hit enter. Now when it flows it up there, it's going to be very dense because we did a transform on it, right? So it's very difficult to see what's going on with it, but we'll just go ahead and hit enter on this. And then we'll go ahead to this mode here, the plastic mode. This mode, the machine mode, you cannot see any kind of curves. So we want to go to the plastic mode so we can see our curves. And you can see right here we have a seam here and a seam here. Now this seam could pose some issues, so we need to take care of that. But before we do, let's do some cleanup work. Let's go ahead, take all this, switch it to gray. Let's take all our yellow, switch it to gray, and let's get in here and grab that surface there and switch it to gray, and we'll just turn it off so we just have our object out there, right? Okay, let's deal with this surface. So we're going to take this surface and we are going to nuke it. And it will explode it. So this surface here and this surface here is what I was talking about, right? So we want to make that one surface. So we're going to go to our surface. We're going to scroll down here to Edit Tools, and we are going to merge this surface here with this surface here, and now it is one surface, right? Okay. We'll go ahead and grab all that green now, and we'll change it back. Whoop, we don't want to turn it off. We'll just change it back to this color. And again, if you go to any other mode, it's kind of difficult to see. So we'll just stay in the plastic mode there. Yeah. And we'll go ahead and we will go to curves. I'm only going to do a little bit of this. Well, actually, I'm going to do a little bit more than I thought. So we'll just go ahead and extract it because there's a reason for it, and I'll explain as we go. All right, so we'll extract this, grab an ISO curve from this surface and find out where our point is, because it's right there in our light, right? And we need to put that at a 5.0. 5.5, 5.6, wrong direction, so put it in a 5. Well, 4A, so we'll just go over here, click in our box, type in 0.50 instead of trying to play around with it all night, and it'll move it right into our 5.0 direction. So I'll hit enter. Well, click on my viewport and then hit enter. I'll select my curve and we will go to gems and gems on curve, and it'll put gems out there. And as you can see, my points are pointing in the wrong direction. So what we're going to do is go in here and a target object and select that surface that we have them, and you can see it snap those gems around to the other side. So we want to drag this over, get it out of the way for right now. And we want to drag this one over up around somewhere around here, perhaps. We'll go to our top viewport, kind of see where, yeah, that's okay. And maybe we can move this one just a little bit more. And then we're in something like this, right? Now we want to drop those stones down, but we have to be careful on size of the gemstones and how deep we drop them, because we're going to lay out stones here too, which could cause an issue with the channels being cut here and the channels being cut here. So going to have to be a little bit more cautious. So I think we're going to do this very slowly. So let's just go ahead. First, make sure we have our size that we want and our spacing and all that, right? So we'll go under spacing, kind of move it a little bit closer together, and we'll do a little bit bigger in size, maybe just a bit bigger, 1/6 maybe. And we'll try the girdle offset for right now, and then hit enter. So we have those gemstones at a 1/6, spacing of a 0.00, and then we'll click on our viewport and hit enter, right? And now we'll go ahead and select those gems, right? Go to our cutters, go to our channel cutter there, and you know, whatever you want here. I'm just going to go with a point. And we're going to do some manipulation. I'm going to drag that point out and it goes right into our item there. I'm going to switch our profile here real quick, and I want it real sharp going in. So I'm going to do something like this, this one here. And like again, it's okay to see in this viewport, but we need to see inside there. So we're going to have to change it to wireframe, and it's going to be difficult to see. But we can still get a somewhat of a good idea of what's going on. And I'm going to drag that out to there for right now. And we need to, of course, that's way too deep, right? So we're going to drag that placement up and then bring this one down, kind of see where something like that. We want it as close as possible to our girdle there. And we're sticking out, so we're good to go there. And you could always switch it back to plastic to kind of take a look to see how it's going. So between wireframe and plastic, get everything lined up. And we'll drag this out just a little bit more and back to plastic, make sure it's still sticking out, which it's barely, but that's okay, it's sticking out. All right, and we'll go ahead and accept that for right now, and we'll just leave that alone for right now. Now we'll go back to our curves and we'll do another extract ISO curve. And we'll do it from this surface here because they are exploded, right? And we'll select that one to a 5.0. So I'll go over here, click in here, type in 0.50 and hit enter. And click on my viewport and hit enter again. And I will go ahead and snap some stones in this one here. So gems, offset curve. And again, we need to select our target object, which will be this surface here, and kind of drag them around where we want them. So I want them to start maybe around here, and these I want to bring over to something like around there. And let's go to our top viewport. Yeah, that's good. And maybe this one, grab that, move it up just a little there, something like that. Yeah. All right. And again, I think our stones were 1.6, right? So we'll just go ahead and make them a 1.6. And we will go ahead and do the girdle to the table offset just to find out what we're getting here. And we'll hit enter. All right, and now we want to select those gems, and we will go to our cutters, and we will grab our channel cutter there, and again, change it from round to point, and again, snap that or drag that out so far, and we want to change that again to a real kind of close one here, where it kind of goes real deep into, or the angle's real sharp, just so I can maybe avoid overlapping those channel cutouts. And again, we want to drag that so that it's just below the girdle of our stone, something like that. Perhaps check to make sure that our point is outside of our item, it's not dug in there, right? And now let's turn it to wire, and what we want to do is make sure this channel and that channel are not touching, and they don't look like they are, so so far I should say. We'll grab that, drag that out, kind of check those two channels. Yeah, we got some space in there, so hopefully that should be okay. And again, I want to just check the right here, it angles down, so kind of difficult to see. So let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and accept that, and we'll go in here and see what we got going here. So what we have to do is make sure, because right now they're all single surfaces, right? And you can do this to these two here as well. I'm going to go ahead and grab my green, because I always forget to do this before I do these cutouts. Grab all my green, and we're going to join that back together. And as soon as it's ready, check it, close poly surface. Now let's go in here and we'll do that boolean difference between this surface here as our first surface, enter this surface, and hit enter. And let's check to see how those cutouts are. And it's more of a channel cut than for prong placement, right? So that's probably not exactly what I want. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit enter. And I'm going to take that surface, the first surface where there's no cutouts, and change that to gray to get rid of it. Right now I want to go back in maybe to my channel cutter there. I have two channel cutters, and they're both grayed out because we use them, right? So I'm going to go in and edit one of them, and what I'm going to do is kind of 124%. I'm going to drag that out 148%, and then I'm just going to hit enter and see what it looks like. Still giving me a cutout that I'm really not happy with. So let's go back in here, edit again. I'll just change this profile, one that's still pretty angled, but maybe not so much. Maybe this one here. Switch to this one. And give it a second to update. And then we'll just go ahead and we lost our surface there for some reason. Oh, because it's not touching our surface. So placement we want down in there, right? And let it update there. Okay. And it's too far down in there, right? Because it's not showing us the cutout there. So let's go ahead in here and placement. We'll drag it up a little bit. And our height, let's go ahead and drag that up a lot more. And take a look at it. Okay. And what we want to do is we're kind of trying to make sure it's not cutting into our other rail there, which it doesn't look like it is. Let's go ahead and accept that. And now it's giving me more of what I'm looking for. I'm still a little concerned that when we open up this other cutter, it's going to affect things, but hopefully, let's go in here. Let's grab that cutter. Let's go ahead. Oh, that's the gems. We don't want the gems. We want, we'll go ahead and back out of that. We want the cutter here. This cutter here. And we want to go ahead and make that change to that cutter as well. Which one was it? This one? We had this one maybe. Let's go to this one. And we'll select that. Give it some time to update because it's got to change all that. Or you could just go ahead and redo the cutters from original, right? And of course our surface is gone because it's way out there just like last time. No big deal. First on this one, I'm just going to grab my height and drag it up. And we'll wait for a second here while it updates. Okay, and then I'm going to drag that down into my object there. Wait for it to update, and it should give me my surface at this point, which it does. Okay. And let's go ahead and change that wireframe and see where that cut, how deep that cut out. Looks like we've got enough edge there. So you kind of, I mean, I guess what this is kind of showing off or trying to explain is that you have to be careful on how deep you use these cutters because you don't, and how big you put these stones because you don't want that cutter going in, cutting this out as well. And you also want, excuse me, you also want enough rail there or metal there to be able to make that durable, right? So let's go in here. Let's go ahead and accept this and see what it looks like. Yeah, okay. And you can play around with that a little bit, but the main thing, I think we had it at 147 or something. So let's go back and edit it. And I think it was a 47 maybe, something like that. So let's go ahead and take that and see what it looks like. And it doesn't look like it cut into any of this here. And let's go to wireframe. And it looks like I've got decent metal in there. Pretty close, but it looks like it's has a little bit of nice metal in there. We have this up here, so it should be good to go. All right, and then at this point it's just placing your prongs, and there is one thing you need to think about when placing prongs. So let's go ahead and we'll just grab these stones here and do these, and we'll go to our settings and prong placer, and it'll place them out there, right? And we will, diameter wise, maybe make those a little bit bigger. And of course we want to give the jeweler nice metal to be able to work with to put those beads down. And these here, right, the end ones, right, so we have it at a 5.9 it looks like in diameter. So we're going to go over here and we're going to select our end, and we're going to change this from the 4 there down to where it has the 1 on each end. So now we only have the 1 prong, and right away we'll go to our diameter, and what was it, 5.4, something like that. It looks like it was a little thicker, so we'll make that a little bit thicker there. And of course we want to drag it up, something like that, and take a look at our other side, and it looks like it made it the thickness, but it did not drag it up. So we're going to drag that up. something like that. And now we have that there. All right. And we'll just go ahead and do these prongs here real quick. And I think it was a 5-4, 6-4 maybe. 6-4, okay, and that's good. And we'll go in here and grab that end one again in prong style. We'll switch it to the 1-1, that one there, and we want to go ahead and grab our diameter, and I think it was a 6-4. Yeah, and of course we need to bump it up just a little, and then we'll want to go over here to this other side here and check on it. And we'll go ahead and bump that up a little bit. Now again, you could always go back and you know, maybe this is a little too tight for your liking, so you go back to cutter, edit the cutter, right, and we can go in here and we can do a little bit more manipulation. We can make that a little bit longer. Wait for the update, and it's still sticking out, so we'll just go ahead and hit enter. And now that has a little bit extra room there, right? So, I mean, it just really depends on personal preference. It did not do it to this side, though it doesn't. Oh, yeah, it did. Okay, so we have, you know, that, and you can just keep laying your stones out there. But the main thing is when you're laying out your stones, you're going to have to be a little bit cautious, because you don't want this these cutter to come through and make this area right here too thin. You still want a nice thickness in there, right? Or a decent thickness. So if we go in here, you can kind of see we have this thickness right here for that metal to be able to be cast and give it nice thickness, so that if it ever gets hit right here, it's not just going to bend over or anything like that, right? It's going to have some durability to it. The last thing you need to do is just slap on a bell. You can put on a bell and you're good to go. So I hope this is helpful and useful, and if it is, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Really appreciate it. Share the video. Thanks, and good designing.